Namaste and a very good evening. And welcome to the Friday at 9 with Pranaame Bhagawati. And like usual, we are here again with another scintillating and beautiful, graceful artist with us. And before we move on, I would like to request all my viewers to visit our website and our Facebook link to join in the live chat show in the Facebook page that's going on. And tonight we have the very beautiful and graceful Divya Goswami. She is a terrific Kathak dancer of the Lucknow Gharana, and she is basically from Chandigarh. And Divya is a very well-known face in the field of Kathak, and she has been doing very well in her area, both nationally and internationally.
Oh,
So
thank
here
you.
I forward the screen to Divya. Divya, welcome to Friday at 9 with Pranami Bhagawati of the Amrapali magazine.
Thank you so much, Pranami and Amrapali. Also, I've been seeing your work. We've known each other for many years now, and it's
Yes, yes.
wonderful to be here and just have a heart-to-heart talk with you.
Thank you so much. Divya, it's like amazing to know about you, how you have started your dance journey, from your
Yeah.
childhood, and you have been so inculcated with the core of the tradition, Indian tradition, and then,
Yes.
taking away ahead with your dance form at the various stages across the country and also worldwide. So you don't need any introduction for yourself. You have been, been honored with the Ustad Bismillah Khan Yuva Puraskar from the Sangeet Natak Academy, which is very prestigious. And tell more about your dance journey from your childhood for the people who are not from this field.
Yes. So, just like, I mean, you're from the eastern part of our country, and culture is
Yeah.
so rich over there. Every child goes to some or the other, arts class. So it started exactly like that for me. And my mother and grandmother had always decided that they want me to learn a classical dance form. So they chose Kathak also because it's fairly popular in North India, and they
Yes.
come from art lover family, so they had seen Hindustani classical music and Kathak much more than any other form. So it was a very obvious choice in my family to send me for a Kathak class. And it actually started because my mother was studying and I needed to be kept somewhere for extra hours. And the dance
Uh-huh.
class used to be the one place that, I was very quiet, and it was such a joy. As a child, you see young girls all decked up and in class and dancing and moving. No, it's so fascinating.
Uh-huh.
So that's how I started going to dance class, and I would be there for 2-3 hours, even as a 5-6 year old child. So, so that is how it started. But my first teacher was in Jammu, and I started learning in the Banaras Gharana tradition. And I remember my father being in the army, who was posted in Jammu. And, my mother and my father made sure that I learn Kathak. And they would travel almost 10, 18 kilometers, back in 80s. I'm not talking of today's generation where commute is much easier. That time, everything was a challenge. So, and we were living on the outskirts of Jammu. We were not even in the city. So it was very challenging. So thanks to my mother and my father, I actually seriously began to learn. And thanks to my first teacher, she gave me the opportunity to be able to perform a small solo for the first time in my life. And I was just 8 years old at that time. But yeah, so I don't know what she saw, what happened. But I was very, I was her only student. And so maybe, that one-on-one interaction, jisko hum kehte hain, that real learning and, guidance from your guru, focused attention, maybe led to, within 2 years, I was on the stage, and she always used to say that you've learned of 5 years and 2 years from me. So I don't know how it happened, but it did.
It's
But
always the guru, who
yeah,
sees something deep within you. They
yes,
know what
yes,
they have seen.
yeah.
Although
But
it's accidental, your journey started accidentally. I
accidentally,
think so.
yeah,
But it really took you to a really higher level, like because of your dedication, because of your guru support, your parents
Yeah.
support, it really took a
Yeah.
very nice turn in your life.
I have truly been very, very fortunate, being an artist. I'm sure you also hear from your students and,
Yes,
colleagues all around that people don't get support from their family
yes,
being an artist, because we all know it's a very, very challenging profession. So
yes,
I am very fortunate, and I really thank existence that I have family which, does everything so that this is the focus, and their life revolves around my dance, and they enjoy it as much as I enjoy it. That's the best part, that they love it as much as I love it. So that's the beauty. And actually, my first guru I met in Pune, because I moved to Pune to further my education, and I always wanted to learn. And every 2 years, if you're shifting, you can't find a teacher. It's not possible. And then there is a problem of one gharana, second gharana. How much ever we say, the basics remain same, but
just tired of the
yeah,
same corner also, it really is
true.
difficult to take over.
Very, very. Even in Lucknow Gharana, if you learn from five different people, you will see a difference. So
Yes,
imagine if the Gharana was not the same. But that's how I met Yogini Didi, my first guru, Yogini Gandhi. And I was just completely dazzled by her eloquence, her beauty, her power to conduct herself. And, there is a certain empowering which the art gives you, and you transform on stage, literally. So I used to see that every time she was on stage. And as chance would have it, we both belonged to the same spiritual guru, and that's what led me towards her even more. And I still remember the first day I went to meet her with my mother and grandmother. She asked me to sit outside after she saw me dancing for 10-15 minutes. And then she told my mother and my grandmother that I'm ready to teach her, there's no problem. But you have to leave her with me for 7 to 8 years. Don't take her back from me, because she knew that in a defense background there could be a challenge of me moving. And she said, I want to train her, I want to guide her. And like you said, that guidance of a guru, when the guru sees something and wants to nurture it. So I had the privilege of having that kind of a guru.
very true.
And when after I was with her for a very long time, 15, 16 years. So I performed with her, I did my solos under her. I mean, everything that you can imagine happened with her. For the first of everything happened with Yogini Didi. And then I moved to Delhi after a few years, because I realized, this is where the heart of Kathak is. And like, you and me were talking, Abhi, Lucknow Gharana is the same. But when you come to Delhi, you see a completely different arrangement of the same Gharana. And
Yes,
that is what I enjoyed seeing. And later, I was just blessed that Munna Guruji accepted me as his disciple. And I cannot say anything about him, because whatever I say will fall short. He is he is an ocean. That's all
yes,
I can say, and I'm blessed that he has accepted me. That's all I can say. So this is my brief journey along with my gurus, and a lot of other influences, especially G.S. Channi ji, who left us recently because of COVID, and my Manasik guru, my mother, Srimati Kamalini Dutt. And without both of them, I'm actually nothing. Kamalini Amma is like a light. I always say that one word for her. So, in addition to having such wonderful gurus, I also have a guru who I can, very happily call my mother. So you can imagine that relation, that
yes,
beauty. So
yes,
this is my journey, and I'm still
yeah,
continuing on it.
yes. And I just want to ask you, like, because you and myself, we are of the contemporary, we are the same time,
Mm,
almost.
yes.
I just want to ask you, like, during our time, the entire dance teaching and dance learning experience and the ambience is very much different from today's time. Okay, so how much you agree and how much you don't like whatever is happening at today's point of time?
So, firstly, I completely agree with you that the way we have learned, I cannot teach my students like that. They will run away if I start teaching them the way I have learned.
Yeah.
We both my gurus, Yogini Didi and Munna Guruji, are known to be disciplinarians.
Yes.
Very, very time
True.
conscious, very
Very, very
diligent.
also.
Yes, and
Yeah.
very over organized. So, these things were drilled into us, and one tiny mistake was not allowed. But I think that is what has made me also today. So, in addition to the rigor of dance, the physical rigor of dance, that they would insist, Yogini Didi would insist that you come and dance for 4 hours in the morning, then we will do something in the evening. So, if the morning riyaz has not happened, nothing else is happening in the evening. You continue then. So, these kind of rigors I cannot expect from my students anymore unless I feel it comes from within. And for that, as a teacher of today, we just have to be very patient. And if we ignite it if we ignite it correctly, I'm sure we can see it and slowly push the child. But we cannot be forceful. We cannot have such a structure which is same for every child. Like in my class, I didn't have too many students, and with Munna Guruji, I used to dance alone. So, but I have been a part of Yogini Didi's troupe, and we have performed extensively. So, the group teaching has also taken place. So, it was set for everybody. It was a pattern. Everybody will do this and then this. And this is a routine that you have to follow in your day. It is a routine in your dance life, in your career. But I cannot do that as a teacher anymore. And more than that, I also see a lot of, students who join me today who've learned for 5 years, 6 years, and they can't even do tatkar on their own. So I also question the teachers who are teaching of today. And they might say that they're teaching Kathak or Bharatanatyam or Kuchipudi, whatever. It's not just happening in Kathak. It's happening in every field. And I see, sometimes students come to me and they say, Didi, we've learned for 3 years. Can we dance for you? I said, of course, dance. And they'll put on a Bollywood song and they'll start dancing to it. And I'm like, this is what you did in 3 years. And then they've also passed exams. So I really don't understand this particular setup. I don't. I mean, you learn the tradition and then you do what you want to do with it.
Yes, very true.
It's free for interpretation. I will
Yeah.
not be a judge of that at all. But first, learn. But then, as a student, they are going with their emotion, no? They're going with their honesty that I'm going to my Kathak teacher to learn. So now it's
Yes.
my responsibility as a teacher to give them the correct thing
Yes.
also.
To teach the
So
proper
it's
grammar of that particular part.
yes. And very funny story I'm remembering suddenly when talking to you that Munna Guruji, we would often have a long conversation. He has a method of teaching through his stories. So, talking is a part of learning with him. And he always says that, I am having such a tough time. If I teach you the way I learned from my chacha and my mama, and, you will run away from here. You can't even do. He used to tell me this, and his other students who were learning at that time, not just me. In general, our generation and the generation, 5, 7 years younger to us. And then I would tell him, Guruji, if I do the same thing to my students, so I think every generation feels this. Every generation feels it because
Yeah.
it's such a changing, evolving society.
Yes, yeah. And
We
also
all
it's
feel it.
challenging because with the phone or whatever, we are so preoccupied with the thing. So that is why we are very like after this, what we don't have that much of patience for the long term of learning and devotion also. So
Hmm.
very true that with the time the processes also changes, but but ultimately the students product also changes. Students
Yes.
being a product or performer or being a teacher later on also keeps on
Hmm.
changing, which is not
Yes.
so healthy.
Hmm. No, not healthy at all. And this discussion has been going on for the past decade now. That how do you start teaching? what is the set criteria that you can start teaching an art now? There is no set criteria for it. Even I mean, mm, mm, somebody who's not even passed out of Kathak Kendra, if they're teaching, not even passed out. Yeah, just an example. And
Yeah.
if somebody has learned with me for 3 years and suppose tomorrow goes and starts teaching Kathak,
Mhm.
I have no control over it because there is no standard set that you need to do this to be able to teach. But Pranami, I also feel that advantage of this is that uh, Kathak is reaching more number of people.
Yeah.
It's just now that we have to be honest as teachers to give the student the correct thing so that the output is also good. But with more artists and more people learning, more people teaching, it's reaching more and more and more people in our society. And we call ourselves a very cultured society. We call ourselves very evolved culturally. So then when you ask people Kathak and then they say, oh, Kathak equals Kathakali, then how does that fit together in India? I don't understand. But
Yes.
at least with more number of teachers present,
Mhm.
people are becoming aware. Now we just have to be responsible as artists. That's all I can say.
Yeah, and being a young Kathak exponent, because in your field you have done quite a bit of productions and teaching techniques, performing, and even doing lecture demonstrations. So, being an alumni of any of the institute of your guru, now you're all set free to move ahead
Mhm.
and conquer the world. Okay, and you have received also the Ustad Bismillah Khan Yuva Puraskar from the prestigious Sangeet Natak Academy, New Delhi. So, being over there at that particular stage, how you feel and what do you think to give back to the new
What do I
generation?
think too?
How you feel it after getting to that position, and what do you think to give to the world ahead?
Okay. What I feel is very overwhelmed and also more conscious, more deliberate with my art and what I think about it and how I converse with it. So just like you said that once you branch out of being under your guru's institution, you start actually understanding what you are as an artist.
Yes.
Just like if you were doing a diploma and a post diploma in Kathak Kendra, even if you're a gold medalist, your true journey begins when you leave that and you start discovering yourself. So even though I have
And
not
at
taken a
some
formal,
point of time, many
yeah,
elements will come to you. You know, they will
yes,
they would like you to take for granted. They will ask you to do some kind of favor, or maybe without any remuneration or whatever. Because being an artist, when you are into the profession, you also have to look up after the income that you earn, because now you're into the
yes.
profession, you have to take ahead. So
Mhm.
different courses of events comes to you in various ways. So that's how
Mhm.
the question came to our mind. So how you deal with all these things, and maybe at some point were you rigid that no, this has to be done, or maybe in some point very flexible that if I don't do this, maybe I will lose some options. Like how you dealt with it?
See, it's a continuous process, especially now with the digital platform, and the performances happening digitally. There is no remuneration for the artists. We are just called and we are asked, and as artists, currently we are, art is for expressing. So if I don't have that audience to express to, so as an artist, I'm also feeling incomplete. So currently, I might be doing it because I really have something to share with people. So I'm using a platform to express it. And if I'm not getting remunerated, I feel it's okay. At least I'm doing something. But I completely agree with you. It should not be allowed. It should not be allowed. Because, I always say this, and everybody feels it as an artist that
Mhm.
for a 1 hour of performance on the stage, at least 100 hours go back in riyas.
Yes,
So
of
i'm
course.
i'm not asking you to remunerate me for those 100 hours because it's also my love. I'm not
Yes.
asking that. But I also feel that as an artist, would you be able to call a corporate personnel and ask him to speak in your forum for an hour free of charge? You can't.
Yes.
Can you ask an investment banker to come to the bank and work free of cost for one day? Can you? You can't. So if all these rules are set, then why is it that in the arts field we don't care about the financial aspects of the
That's what
artists?
that's what in many of the areas I often talk to people, and sometimes it's just like so much of debate. Like if you think you can't work a day without your salary,
Mm.
don't expect ourselves to perform without a remuneration. It's the same thing because that's the way how we earn, and that's a profession.
Yes, and see, I understand if I'm going to a temple for seva, then the feeling is completely different. Completely
The
different.
concept is totally different, because you're
Yes,
going there for a dedicated
yes,
purpose, and there's no
yes.
point of such things.
Yeah, if I'm going to connect with a school or with a underprivileged children or something like that, so I have to know where I can cut back so that I
Yes,
can give to the society also. Like you asked me, how do you give back? I can only give back if I get something from somewhere else, right?
yes,
So that
yes,
getting something from somewhere else in the field of arts is really very, very limited. And unfortunately, the popular arts and the popular artists both, and by popular arts I really mean people from the movie industry, or popular actors, theater actors, or popular musicians. If you want to invite them on stage, you're willing to pay 5 lakhs, 10 lakhs, but you can't even pay a classical artist one tenth of that.
yeah, yeah,
So it just amazes me that how we boast to be culturally rich, and then we don't support the people who are actually involved in the process
involved
of propagating
in
it.
culture. Yes, yes, there's
Yeah, it really amazes me.
and like at some point of time you will meet some people or some organizations, who are having different levels of artist, okay, or maybe different
Yes.
genres of artist, and each artist definitely they have their own set of marked payments that this much you'll have to pay. But most of the time we often see that they take the classical artist for granted because they think that maybe the people won't get that much of attraction out of the performance, because or maybe they're doing it only because for the concept that they have to promote the culture. So out of everything, maybe that is the reason why they are doing. But out for an event when there are different kinds of 5 or 6 different artists from different genres and performing, maybe one is a rock live show, or maybe another one is some folk dancing or whatever, but they always cut short into the classical dance field.
But Pranami, I also feel it is not just true for dance. It's also true in music. It's
In music,
also
very
true
true.
in art. Artisans, weavers,
Yes,
painters. It's
yes.
true for all these arts in India. It's not just exclusive to Indian classical dance. And we can only count our blessings that there are a few organizations, both government and privately owned, who
Yes,
don't take artists for granted. And when someone like that asks me to do something for them, I will not even think twice, because I know they are the ones who will care for the art and artists. But I also feel that this is one aspect, that they don't pay and they take dancers for granted. But I have
so
also
what
had
I have seen throughout this time is that because out here we have got a huge theater shows, live drama theater shows, or, they travel places to places for 7 to 8 months. They travel and they are ticketed shows. So out
okay,
here, people are very reluctant to pay to visit for a classical performance.
true.
It's very, you will see it most of the time in Delhi, Bombay, Bangalore. People will buy tickets for a classical event.
No, no, not at all in Delhi.
Maybe
Not at
so.
all. Not at all. Not at all. I
I
mean, we
really
need to
want to
fill.
start a renaissance out of it, that if you can pay for a movie show, if you can pay for a theater, if you
Exactly.
can pay for a contemporary type of a dance movement, why not just 100 rupees for an Indian classical dance and music show?
And see,
We
actually, classical dance and music is not just entertainment. Movie is entertainment. That is
Yes,
meant for my entertainment. This is meant to take you somewhere else. It is meant to connect you to the traditions. It is meant to connect you with your own self. These are all spiritual art forms. They are not just random means of movement. there is a certain coding, there is a certain beauty in it which you take back with you. It's not like a movie, you saw it with popcorn and it didn't matter. It's not like that. So
Yes,
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 audience should pay, but I also feel that then at this point, artists are also not united on this particular
yes,
aspect.
yes,
So then
yes,
we
yes,
have a problem within the artist community also.
yeah,
If
yeah.
we can't move together to take steps towards our own betterment, then how can we expect outsiders to change for us?
And if
We
any
can't.
of the organization, if they are collaborative putting an event, it could be collaboration with the government, it be in collaboration with some another NGO or some institute, whatever.
Yes.
Even then also you can have a ticketed show, but people are reluctant to it because they don't want to miss those spectators. People think that in
Yes.
this way, if we are getting support and we are at least hosting the event, at least we don't want to lose the spectators, and that is why the reason why they don't put that ticketed show. But I feel slowly in some point of time, you know um, mixing, matching, twisting turns, we must try doing this ticketed events,
No,
although
we
it is very
must try.
small.
And see,
Yes,
even if our generation is united in this particular thought process of creating income for our own selves, and change cannot happen in one day. It will take many years for us to be aware, firstly as artists, and then to make our audiences aware that why are they needing to shell out a certain
yes.
something.
Because
Why?
too much of free things will also
Hmm.
make the thing invaluable, because it could
Irrelevant.
be a very small amount, it could be just 50 rupees or maybe just 75 rupees per seat, it could be started in that way, but people must start feeling that it, yes, it has a value. Maybe it is a value lower, or maybe not too much of ticketed, not too high ticket, maybe 50 rupees, 75 rupees, we can start doing this.
A lot of people have tried to start this, but unfortunately, it's only been unsuccessful because of the one single reason that I just mentioned, which is that not every artist does it, not every organization does it. It's not there in every city. So there is no uniformity, there is no unition between the arts and the artists for us to say, okay, this is going to be our set process. There is nothing. So they say, okay, fine, for example, in Delhi, there are at least 10 shows happening on every single day. Before COVID, there was so much to choose from. Okay, if Divya has a ticketed show of 200 rupees, let me go and watch XYZ who is free of cost. That is also Kathak. How does it matter? So, the audience will not understand why we are taking this particular decision. And
Yes.
for that, I feel that we all must come together.
Mhm.
And secondly, the other problem that I also feel that there are no norms for payment. What is the norm for payment?
Yes,
Maybe a Sangeet Natak Academy or a Kathak Kendra or a Spik McKay has a norm for payment.
yeah,
But what about the others? So, you often get calls from people and they say, oh, but that person is doing a live concert in 25,000 rupees. That person is doing a concert in 5,000 rupees. And I'm like, how are they doing it with five musicians for 5,000 rupees? I have no idea. I really don't have any idea. So all these are problems of, I feel, artists just needing to sit together
so
and
maybe
come
most of the
to.
time that you have come across, maybe they're performing for just 5, 6,000. That means throughout their career they have been compromising because they're not getting a salary.
Exactly.
That's the way
Exactly.
what they're doing it. Yes. So many of
I
the
just.
viewers have said that my audio is not clear. Am I audible now? If yes, just let me know in the comments. We have got some comments out here, Divya. I'll just
Sure, sure.
display it. Mr. Vikram Goswami, he
Oh, that's my
says
father.
that he
How do you
says
know
that
he's watching?
frank discussions are always a pleasure to listen and carry lessons. See, thank you. Yeah, yeah. Please say, go ahead, Divya.
No, I was just saying that
Mhm.
really we need to think about alternatives for our own sustenance so that
Yeah,
we can do what we love without any stress and pressure. That
yeah,
is also important. Now, how are you expected to be creative if you're not able to meet your ends?
yeah.
How am
Definitely.
I going to be able to bring up a production on some philosophy of a
Yes,
grain
yes,
saint in India if
yes.
I don't know where my bread and butter is going to come for the whole week? I can't.
In that way,
Yeah.
you can't develop a professional artist. They will
You
definitely go
can't.
for another profession, and out of passion, if they can't live without, only then they're going to come in the evening time and they're going to just carry ahead as a part-time thing. Then full-time artist you cannot generate if they cannot have an earning,
Yes.
because at
Yeah,
the
yeah.
end of everything, maybe passion, maybe hobby, maybe love for art, whatever, we have to pay our bills. That's what comes at
Yes.
the end.
That's what, and I remember a very senior group of artists once were having a discussion on the same topic in Delhi, and I was fortunate to be listening to them. And they said that, you know what, we all know that this is going to be a crisis for your life. And so, what you should do is that at least for 15 years, take up a job in an area that you love other than art, and that should be your support. And then you make your, principal amount in your
Basic
account,
salary.
and then you start dancing full fledged. So, firstly, in India, to be able to dance, I mean, honestly speaking, you begin to mature after you're 30 as an artist. You
Hmm.
begin to
Very,
blossom
very
over
true.
there.
Yes,
So,
yes.
by the time I quit my job and I actually come to becoming a main
You're already
artist, I'm
over
already
age.
50. Yeah.
You are already over age, and
I
you might not look good on the stage at that age.
exactly. And, by then your responsibilities also in your personal life change. You
Yes,
cannot take away the personal from the profession and what you think about your art. All of it is in the end together. So I feel these are just means which are not permanent. Secondly, somebody might not be interested to just do that. No, why are we
yes,
forcing artists to do two things? Again, I always go back to this particular thing. Do we ask a teacher to teach and to do something else by the side to earn her living? No, we don't. Do we ask a government bureaucrat to do something other than his office work to sustain himself, because that is not
yes.
enough? We don't.
Hmm.
So why as artists only we are accepting it for us? This is my problem, that why as artists are we accepting this particular rule? Because we know, why can't we slowly, steadily together build a better environment for ourselves to sustain for longer?
Yes,
We
very true.
want to be in this field till we can. And
Yes,
sorry to say, not every artist is Birju Maharaj ji. We're not.
yes.
We know our limitations as human beings, as artists.
And every artist individual has got their own individualism,
Yes.
so you actually, what I feel being an artist, that you don't have to imitate anyone, you don't have to actually follow also anyone. When you gear up with all your these lessons that you have taken for over a decade, now it's your time to establish your individualism.
Yes.
and and in that process you have to keep folding and molding the techniques of earning through your art, but without
Yes.
compromising. Without
Without
compromising.
compromising.
Yes,
And
yes.
and
If
see
you
again.
if you earn money in a very good stature, only then you can inspire 10 other artists, telling you are there,
Exactly.
to go ahead with
Exactly.
this.
How can I inspire other people if I am only living, hand to mouth?
Hmm.
I
Hmm.
can't, because people will see that, okay, this is good. Like I say always, I'm just fortunate that I don't really need to think that way, but I know
Hmm.
that if I have to survive in a life till a certain age, I have to think about all these things. But it is a reality and we have to face it. And I also know of many, many senior great artists who have not been very comfortable financially in their life. So I really feel, then what? If they have not been able to cope up, then how, as a young artist as me, how am I going to sustain myself? Or worse still is, that the male pressure in India, that a man has to be earning, that
Yeah.
stigma which is there. So what about all the male artists? Why do we forget that? We should not forget it, because that stigma is there. I don't believe in it. You don't believe in it. We feel everybody should be financially independent and it's required, but that pressure is also there, no?
Definitely, yeah.
And that is also a reality. So we just have to do better as artists for our own selves.
Hmm. And being an empanel artist of the ICCR and the graded artist of Doordarshan, and after that you have from the national level you have done quite a bit at the international level too. So what's your response? How you felt like while going to abroad and promoting your culture? How much feedback, and what more do you expect in the future to do from your end?
See, I wish to be able to also inculcate a better understanding of the traditional art forms of our country. Because a lot of things that are seen abroad, once again, I don't know when they say Kathak, how much of Kathak are they showing? How much of Kathak are they teaching? I don't know. All those problems exist. So sometimes when you go to such places, people always say, oh, but that Kathak was different what we saw. And I'm like, okay, so what do you think Kathak is? Munna Guruji used to narrate many incidents. I mean, that's what I said. I am nothing. Imagine a person like him that narrating this thing that, he would say that, when I performed there and they said, oh, if this is Kathak, then what was that? So, you have those kind of reactions also. Pranami, you're on mute.
No, no, I'm asking that. Okay, I'm sorry. I'm asking, was that so diverse and so different?
Yes, I can't name the other artists who he was compared to, but imagine if he has seen it, then what would a person like us in our generation experience when so much is happening with this open, free vocabulary of Kathak? Because it is such an inclusive and open, free dance form, there is much more happening with it than any other classical dance form. So that particular packaging of Kathak is completely changing, if I can use a modern word. But whenever you go abroad, one thing you see is immense respect for artists, whether it is financially, whether it is emotionally, whether it is in their welcoming of you, whatever. So much respect and so much thought goes into everything. They're very accepting. That is the one thing I really feel.
Mhm.
That
And
that
in many cases,
acceptance.
like, yeah, yeah. And last year mostly we have come across, it was almost like a slogan that, stop, pay, and perform. Okay, we
Ah,
have
yeah,
got,
yes,
yeah, yes,
yes.
okay, yeah. So we have got, actually, there are two options into this, stop, pay, and perform. From my point of view, there are two aspects. One is that because most of the gurus, they take payment and make them perform. And the second aspect which I envision is that there are many cultural activists, there are many cultural promoters who will give the stage to the artist, which I'm not against, giving the stage to the artist for their own promotions, for the promotion of the artist. Likewise, we give advertisements in the newspaper, so that because we pay and we give advertisements in the newspaper magazines, so that we get a focus and then we get the business. Similarly, the second option that I'm telling you, I'm not against it, that I have prepared a platform for you. I have paid the auditorium, I have paid the light and sound, I have printed the invitation cards, everything. This is a slotted time for you, 20 minutes, and this is the payment. Okay, personally, myself, I'm not against it, but what do you think about it? About the first option is definitely we both are against, because we don't want, taking payment and making our student perform, being a guru. But most of the gurus were
Not at
doing, so
all.
that is why that, yeah, so that is why the slogan
Yeah.
came up, that stop payment and stop there. But what about the second thought that I just gave you? What do you think on that?
See, even from students, I know gurus, like you said, and young teachers especially. I won't call them gurus; they're teachers still. It takes a long while to become a guru. I can call Munna Guruji Guru, but I can't call somebody my age Guru. I can't do that. They're teacher, respected, sincere. They're also learning. They're also evolving, and we'll all reach there eventually. But see, I understand. Like we were talking, Pranami, that if I don't have the finances to support myself, but I want to showcase my students also, because parents have that pressure. My children have been learning for so many years, why aren't they performing?
Mhm.
So that kind of
Yes,
pressure also exists. So in
yes,
that
yes.
case, I don't feel that you should take money to give them stage. No, don't do that. But yes, if for example you have to draw your boundary, like let's say it's a costume, or let's say it's a music piece you're recording for one of your students specially. You know how expensive recording of music is. A
Yes,
small 5-minute piece costs so much.
yes,
So
yes,
if it's something like that you're helping your student to do. But for example, I would never charge them for something like that. But yes, I understand that, if this is something that I'm doing exclusively for them, let them pay, let them keep it. I'm providing myself as, their teacher available over there. Perfectly fine. That is okay with me. That is okay.
Yeah.
So that aspect is fine. The second thing, like you said, is giving us a set stage and asking to pay and perform. I'm not too sure that I am in for it, because I feel the artist has already given so much. They are doing so much,
Yeah,
and
like
it's
specifically
an
for the
exchange,
short
both
form.
ways.
Yes, like
It's an
specifically
exchange
this
both
could be
ways.
for the
If
short
I'm
form,
coming
and
and
it could
performing
be
for
for
you,
the
that is,
stage.
yeah.
Yeah,
Sorry, sorry, I missed what you were
like I'm
saying.
saying, the- no, yeah, like I'm saying, this could be for upcoming tasks in future, like they give ads for their magazines, newspapers, and so on. Maybe this thing could be for them, but not for all the artists all the time. The second thing that I said. So on that only we're talking just now.
Yes, yes, exactly. So for the second thing only, I'm saying that I'm not too sure that that should be done.
Mhm.
Having said that, if an organizer is giving you a stage or something like that, and he's saying, okay, don't pay me anything, you come, you perform, and go back. That is okay. That is fine with me. That somebody's preparing, like you said, somebody's giving me the audience. They have procured a stage for which they must have paid the money. He's brought a light sound technician, so it's all going from his particular pocket. So if he says that, okay, this is my seva towards the art, you come, you do seva to your art and perform on your own and go back. That's okay. So
Mhm.
then both are equitable, both are justified. But
Mhm.
I don't think that as an organization, there are many means that the government and the private sector has, through concessions and the norms that have been given to us, guidelines that are existing. These organizations also take money from them
Mhm.
as
From
CSR, or
social
as
services.
grants or whatever,
Yes,
and
yes,
then
yes.
we also end up paying them. It doesn't matter to
Mhm.
somebody. Oh, I just paid 5,000. I just paid 5,000. Okay, 5,000 is not a big amount, you can pay, no problem. But
Mhm.
5,000, one artist, like that, they must have invited 30
Yes,
artists.
but that's going to carry a long way then
Exactly, exactly.
every
So we
year.
can't be accepting of it. This is my opinion. But having said that, a balance can be struck where both benefit from each other without disturbing their pocket
Yes,
or our own pocket. That that
yes.
that can be
Mhm.
come to, but pay and give, I am not sure that I'm in for it at all. I don't think that's the appropriate
And
way.
I think, yes, and I think we should also have this thing that pay and watch.
Yes, yes, pay and
That
watch.
we must go ahead. It could be
There
a
was this
classical evening. Yes, it could be a musical
there was this
time.
when you
Yes,
mentioning this, this hashtag was trending, na, don't pay and perform. I'm forgetting the exact
yes, yes.
tag.
It was
Uh,
almost, I think, last year or something. It was very much
yes,
in the trend
yes.
in social media.
Because
Yes,
online also all this started off, na, that people were
yes, yes,
asking you to pay and perform. But
yes.
so at
Mhm.
that time, they said no for this, but pay and watch. You begin that, then
Yes,
we will begin pay and
yes,
perform. So first you do that, then we will do this. So that's
yes.
what, na, that somewhere the balance has to be struck between everything. And like you said, organizer can always charge 200 rupees from their audience, and they will at least come somewhere close to whatever they have spent. Somewhere close. I'm not saying exactly. Expenditure is a lot to organize a concert. We all know that. I mean, it goes
Mhm.
in many, many digits, but at
Yes.
least somewhere, no? So then you don't have
Mhm.
to charge the artist. You take it from your audience. You want your burden to be shared. That's all.
Mhm.
Firstly, it should not be a burden. It's service to the arts, and hence you're an organizer. But yeah,
Yes.
each one to themselves. It's just that I'm not accepting of it. That's all.
Yeah. Uh, Divya, thank you so much. We have been talking this for a long of almost 45 minutes. That's
We
the reason
decided
why.
to make it.
But it's always like this, and we really love it. And that is the
Yes.
reason why Friday at 9 we keep it very informal, because when we talk open heartedly, things will come up. We will keep on sharing, and for the benefit of arts and artists. I really
Yes.
thank you for coming to the Amrapali magazine. And
Thank you
you
so much.
being so young, you have to your credit quite a bit of honors. You have been a
It's a
TEDx
long
speaker
journey.
too.
Yes.
You have been a
It's
TEDx
a long
speaker too,
journey.
which is really admirable. And
Thank
like
you.
I had said, that you have been panel with the ICCR Ministry of External Affairs, and also a graded artist of the Doordarshan class and TEDx speaker, which is really admirable. And I thank you,
No,
Divya,
I
for
thank
coming to
you.
this season
And
two.
no, I thank you, and I hope this is the beginning of a beautiful association
Yes,
with you and Amrapali.
definitely.
But
Yes,
I also feel that we've spoken so much about the finance and sustainability
yes,
and the reality of arts,
we
but we
must
must
work
not
on that.
forget. We must
Yes,
not forget that art is an expression. It is actually surrender. It is love, and it
yes,
is the spirituality that it brings to each of us as artists and audience. And if we keep that in mind, I'm sure a lot of problems, practical problems that we face, will slowly start finding a solution. So we
definitely.
must keep this particular aspect in mind, that this is a spiritual path for all of us. That's all.
Yes, we have Gita Goswami. If you know her, she says
My
that I am
mother.
an expression. See how techy your parents are, how
Oh,
techno savvy they
really?
are.
That's what I said. Now, this is the beauty. They love this as much as I love it, and that's what makes
Yes,
this special for all of us in my family.
they must be
That's
so
the
happy.
beauty.
Your mom must be so happy that accidentally I just wanted her to get rid of her to maybe accomplish her own works. Maybe but these accidentally have took you to a so high level. You have
It's
been
all
really
because of
learning.
their love and blessings. All
Yes,
because
yes.
of their love and blessings and the blessings of the gurus. So thank you so much. Thank you to
Thank
all the
you.
audience members, and I hope to be with you again soon. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Thank
Wishing
you
you the
so
best.
much. Thank you. And to all
Thank
the
you.
viewers watching us, thank you so much for your time and coming online and chatting with Divya too. And I'm really so happy, Divya, for coming with us and sharing her thoughts. Like I say always, that who wants to maybe, promote the ones whom they know have been working really hard on their part to promote art and culture, please log into the link that has been scrolling down. Go to the Amrapali magazine.online/book dash online, and you can book any of your preferable slot, and we are sure going to connect with that particular artist. Thank you all, everybody, for being with us. Thank you. Good night.